Am I the only one that kind of wonders what McFarlane would look like with a mustache? Maybe it's only me. I tend to have this like weird thing that I do in my mind where I think of a certain person and imagine them with a mustache. It's funny because I was, literally thinking back to like when Henry Cavill didn't have a mustache, but then he was Superman, but also did grow a mustache eventually. It was just kind of like very interesting. It's funny because he's one of those actors that like has a mustache, looks like an absolute villain, doesn't have a mustache, and he looks like Superman. He looks like a hero. That's just the way that things work. I don't know exactly how that makes any sense, but there you guys have it. So in today's video, I wanted to cover a little bit about a new wave that McFarlane is just releasing for a new animated wave from the DC universe. These are some really cool looking action figures. I'll be brutally honest with you guys, I tend to veer away from the animated stuff just because the articulation scheme is really weird. They're like incredibly accurate to the source material, but because they're that accurate, they tend to sacrifice in terms of engineer work, in terms of sculpting and articulation, and just whether the figure's even able to pose or stand upright in certain poses or certain stances. And so I tend to veer away from them, but this one is one that really caught my eye and I kind of wanted to touch on them a little bit. This wave will include HARDAC, Bane, Poison Ivy, and Phantasm, who is probably one of my favorite DC comic book characters, but also the Phantasm film, the animated film, I absolutely loved it. It's probably one of the first animated films from the DC cinematic universe that I absolutely fell in love with. And so this definitely is near and dear to my heart. And in case you guys are wondering what exactly this builds, hold on to your hats because it actually builds a Bruce Wayne. You heard that correctly. This is a Build-A-Figure for a Bruce Wayne action figure, something that I've been desperately requesting from McFarlane in the DC multiverse. Unfortunately, obviously, we're not going to get it from the DC multiverse because that would be too cool. That would be too amazing. They're going to revert to only using the Bruce Wayne action figure for the animated series. Now, I will say, I think in the foreseeable future, we will get a Bruce Wayne action figure right before the DC multiverse goes over to Mattel. Now, don't hold me against that. That's just what I think is going to happen. It might not happen, but I have a very strong feeling that it will, just because it makes no sense. We just got a Jim Gordon. We've gotten so many different Alfreds. It's only right that we get a comic book accurate Bruce Wayne, or a semi comic book accurate, something from like the Rebirth, New 52, or a classic or more classic iteration. Him suited up maybe. Only time will tell. Now, the Poison Ivy action figure is crazy in certain areas, but in other areas it kind of fell a little bit short. The accessories are kind of weird here. You're getting, according to the description, what is it, like 10 hands total? It says 8 extra hands plus the 2 that she's wearing, I'm assuming, so like 10 hands total. And then it gets a little potted plant, which is, like I said, an unusual amount of extra hands. I'm not sure if that's something that's consistent for these animated figures. Like I said, I don't really keep track of them, but I don't know. It seems kind of like weird that they're going so heavy on the hands when they could have done some extra alternative accessories. Now, obviously, they are including a Build-A-Figure piece, but let's not forget these figures are going for usually like $30. So it's worth pointing out that it's not necessarily like a perfect wave. There are some features that I kind of question here from McFarlane, but it is what it is. You get a ton of options for displaying your Poison Ivy with just like a number of different hands. And if you're into hands, I guess this is just a perfect release for you. The Bane action figure also comes with the Bruce Wayne Build-A-Figure pieces. It comes with 2 arms, but again, really interesting. It comes with 8 hands total. I'm not sure what the obsession with the extra hands is all about, but you get some more options. You get a dumbbell as well, where he can, you can pose him doing a little bit of exercise, but it just kind of feels weird. So many different hands, so many different options, but no extra accessories. But again, a Bane action figure. We just got a Killer Croc for the animated series. We've gotten so many other great animated characters, and it only makes sense that they get a Bane, or we get a Bane right before it appears McFarlane is going to lose the DC license. So this one is just a perfect opportunity for him to really capitalize on Bane, and that is exactly what they're doing. I will say both of the figures proportions are a little bit weird. They're a little bit wonky, but that's just how the animated series is. Usually you get, either really small, tiny little legs and just giant, big, beefy chests and arms. And that's exactly what you get with Bane. I think Killer Croc had the same issue, and a lot of people tended to shy away from it. But as I said, it's accurate to the screen, it's accurate to how it looks in the animated series, and so it definitely makes sense. If you're looking for accuracy or screen accuracy, this is the perfect way for you, because if this was coming down from like McFarlane's DC Multiverse or Collector's Edition line, he usually takes, you know, his own design and applies it to those figures, whether it's like really long legs or extremely weird looking torsos. Like that's usually what he does with his DC Multiverse and Collector's Edition line. So if you guys are looking for more accuracy, this is the perfect way for you. Now, what's crazy with the Phantasm action figure, you're actually getting some extra hands, so 4 hands total, and then the Build-A-Figure piece. But that's it. There's not much there's not much going on there. I would have loved some wired cloth goods here. I know that's, again, not really what these waves are about, but I think this was a really missed opportunity, something that he could have capitalized on, especially considering the figure's just lacking in accessories overall. I would have also liked an unmasked head sculpt here. I'm not sure if that would have been a spoiler for anybody for who the main character is, or, you know, who is behind the mask, but I think it's important for those of us that grew up watching the Mask of Phantasm. I think this would have been a perfect opportunity to capitalize and give us an unmasked head sculpt. Like I said, it's crazy that Poison Ivy comes with like 8 different hands or 10 different hands, and Phantasm only comes with a couple of extra hands. I've often said, and I think most people point at the fact that these waves are the budget. It's not like per figure. They kind of break it down across the entire wave. Some will get extra accessories, others will be a little bit lighter. In the end, I guess it's all supposed to balance out. And then finally, with the HARDAC action figure, you are supposed to be getting 6 hands total, an extra head sculpt, a sword, the removable cape, and then you are also getting a suitcase with the head sculpt of Bruce Wayne. Now, I'm not 100% sure. I was trying to get a closer look at the cape. It appears one of them has a Batman mask attached to it. It's like sculpted on. And then it also appears is a different shade of color. I couldn't quite tell from the images, or if one of them is a wired cape. I highly doubt that it's the wired cape. It's just an alternate cape, you know, in case, or I guess it depends on what color scheme you want. Same thing with the head sculpt. You get an extra one along with the sword. This one comes with a little bit more. It's closer to what I would expect from this particular line. But I will say, overall, I'm very excited to see this in store shelves eventually. Being able to get a Bruce Wayne from the animated series in action figure form is absolutely phenomenal. Getting an accurate Bane to the animated series and the Mask of Phantasm, I can't even, tell you guys how much I absolutely love that character and that entire storyline. But I will say I'm I'm torn here, because I do feel like it's a great wave, great characters overall. Poison Ivy, Bane, and Bruce Wayne are 3 of my favorite characters, along with Phantasm. But I just feel like the accessories are all over the place. And with some characters, you're getting like 8 different hands. With others, you're getting just 2 extra hands, and that's about it. And then others, for example, HARDAC getting a little bit more love with the extra head sculpt, the sword, and then the removable cape. So it feels weird that certain characters are getting more love than others. And, as I said, I guess the wave kind of balances out in the end, but I still would have loved to see more accessories for other characters. But either way, very exciting to see some of these action figures. As I said before in one of my videos, he's going out with a bang. He's trying to finish things off on a high note, and that's exactly what I'm seeing from him. I'm not seeing him let up. I'm not seeing him trying to reuse a bunch of sculpts, even though he does that from time to time. He's actually giving us new characters, unique characters that we haven't seen, or at least that I can remember haven't seen in action figure form from him, or we haven't seen in quite some time. So as always, this is just my personal opinion, my personal take. I wanted to give you guys just a quick look at some of these figures. They look really good, and as I said, hopefully in the foreseeable future we get a Bruce Wayne from the DC Multiverse line in a 7-inch form. But as I said, that's kind of wishful thinking. The chances of that happening are pretty slim, but I'm still going to hold out hope. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Do you guys plan on picking up this particular wave? Is there one character that you prefer over the others? Are you okay with the amount of accessories that some of these figures are getting? Do you guys like the articulation scheme on these? I'm very curious to see what you guys have to say. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, for listening to me ramble. Again, if you guys like this type of rambling content, make sure to stay tuned. We do upload pretty consistently. Stay safe out there, enjoy the hobby, pose your action figures, photograph them, throw them around, do whatever it is that you enjoy doing. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.